If you're trying to understand the GenAI ecosystem in 2026, this video will give you a clear map of the stack, what each layer does, and where you should actually focus so you stop wasting time chasing random tools. I'm going to walk you through the entire GenAI ecosystem layer by layer. And by the end of this video, you'll not just know what these technologies are, you will understand why they exist, how they connect to each other, and most importantly, where you should actually be focusing your time on if you want the skills that compound over the next few years. Here's the thing though, I know the space feels overwhelming. Every single week, there is a new model, a new framework, a new this changes everything announcement. And if you try to break into the space or level up seriously, it can feel like you're constantly behind. I totally get it. I have been in the AI space for over a decade, and even I have to be intentional about what I pay attention to. So let me do the filtering for you. Let us slow this down and build the right mental model together. I'm Aishwarya Srinivasan. I've spent the last 10 plus years working in machine learning and AI. I did my master's in data science at Columbia University, and I've worked at Microsoft, Google, and IBM. And today I lead AI developer relations at Fireworks AI, which is one of the top startups focused on AI inference and model serving. I'm sharing this to be very clear that what I'm sharing here comes from being in the weeds of team building production GenAI systems every single day. Alright, let's get into it. Before we touch any tools or models, I want to give you a mental model that'll make everything else click. Think of the GenAI ecosystem as four tightly connected layers. At the bottom, you have compute and foundation. This is your models, your inference infrastructure, and your raw intelligence. On top of that, you have data, how information is stored, retrieved, updated, and made available to the models. Then comes orchestration. This is where GenAI becomes actual software. Agents, routing, memory, evaluation, and control flow falls in this. And finally, tooling and inference. This is how these systems interact with the real world. So APIs, browsers, databases, user-facing products fall here. Here's the most important insight. Every GenAI role sits somewhere in this stack. If you are a machine learning engineer, you probably live closer to the compute and data. If you are an AI engineer or an application developer, you live more in the orchestration and tooling. But the strongest engineers I know understand at least two layers deeply. That is what gives them leverage. So let us go layer by layer. We start at the foundation, which is the compute and models. By 2026, foundation models have clearly split into two camps. Closed models from frontier labs that still dominate complex reasoning and reliability, and open models which have become shockingly good, give you control, and often make much more sense economically. But here is what I want you to unlearn. The brand name of the model matters way less than people think. What actually matters is the capability density per token and latency under load. Can this model do the job you need within your latency and cost constraints consistently at scale? That is the real question. This is where people get tripped up. They see a model advertise a massive context window and assume that it is automatically better. But here is the truth. Advertised context is not the same as usable context. Performance often degrades as you push closer to those limits. Retrieval quality drops, attention becomes noisy, and outputs get less reliable. Another thing that you need to understand in 2026 is the difference between output tokens and the reasoning tokens. Many modern models use internal reasoning steps that never show up in the final answer, but will still cost you money and time. If you're not accounting for that, your cost estimates are wrong from day one. And if you want to go one level deeper, start learning about inference optimizations like KV cache reuse, speculative decoding, etc. These are not academic ideas anymore. They directly affect latency and throughput in production systems. Now let's talk about inference and serving, because this is where most GenAI systems fail silently. People obsess over model choice, then completely ignore how these models are served. Cold start versus warm paths matter. Batch inferencing versus streaming inferencing matters. So if your first token takes 3 seconds to arrive, user will feel that immediately. So here is the mindset shift I want you to adopt. Stop thinking in terms of cost per token and start thinking in terms of cost per successful task. A cheaper model that fails often, requires retries, or frustrates user is not a cheaper option. It is more expensive in every way that actually matters. This is why you need to learn how to load test LLM endpoints, design fallback strategies, and implement retries with guardrails. These are not nice to haves. This is basic production hygiene. Now let's talk about model customization. Fine tuning did not disappear in 2026. It is just becoming more intentional. Supervised fine tuning is great when you want consistency in style or format, and you have the data to train the model. And reinforcement learning approaches are useful when you're optimizing for outcomes rather than the exact answers. Preference modeling helps align the output with what users actually want. But here is the key insight. Fine tuning improves reliability, not just intelligence. You're not making the model smarter, you're making it more predictable for your own use case. And honestly, evaluation design matters more than training. If you cannot measure the improvement, you are just guessing or it is vibe eval. Last part of this layer is compute inference. And yes, even if you are an application engineer, this matters. You don't need to be a GPU expert, but you should understand why memory bandwidth becomes a bottleneck, why network latency kills distributed inference, and why scheduling decisions affect performance. Infrastructure is no longer just plumbing, it is a competitive advantage. Alright, now let's move on to layer 2, which is data. If models are the brain, data is the memory. And your GenAI system is only as good as what it can access. So by 2026, vector databases are no longer special. They are features sitting inside your data systems. Hybrid search is table stakes. What actually matters now is how you combine semantic search with keyword filtering, how you use metadata to narrow results, and how fresh your information is. Data freshness almost always beats perfect recall. Now, chunking strategy matters more than people realize. How you split the document changes retrieval quality drastically. Embedding drift is real and you need a plan for it. Then, versioning your knowledge base is a non negotiable if you want to roll back when things go wrong. Then, there are data pipelines. This is the hidden cost of GenAI. Moving data from where it lives into a form models can use is expensive and fragile. Incremental indexing, streaming ingestion, offline versus online pipeline, and human in the loop corrections are not optional. If your data pipeline is brittle, your model will hallucinate confidently. And that is the worst failure mode. Now, let's get into my favorite layer, which is orchestration. This is where GenAI actually becomes real software. So let's start with agents because there's so much confusion here. Agents are not magical AI. They are state machines with language models inside. Once you internalize that, everything will become clear. Good agent design is about deterministic control flow, explicit state transitions, and proper error handling, and bounded autonomy. Your agent should not be able to wander into unknown territories without guardrails. Here is the rule. If your agent cannot explain its own execution path, do not deploy it. You will regret it later when debugging becomes impossible. In 2026, GenAI systems use multiple models because that is what is efficient. Cheap models handle routing and classification, and expensive models are used only when they are needed. Specialized models outperform general ones for narrow tasks. Things like latency aware routing, confidence based escalations, and cost aware fallbacks are core patterns that you need to understand. Durable execution is another concept most people skip. LLMs fail, network fails, tool fails. Your system needs to survive that. Long running workflows must recover from crashes. Retries must not duplicate actions, and partial results must be recoverable. This is the difference between a demo and a product. Memory also has evolved. It is not just chat history anymore. Modern systems separate short term context, long term user state, task specific working memory, and retrieved external knowledge. And finally, evaluations and observability is very important. This might be the most important GenAI skill in 2026. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it, period. You need golden data sets, regression testing for prompts, LLM as judge techniques wherever appropriate, and programmatic checks where possible, along with outcome based metrics that measure whether users actually succeeded with the prompts. Then we have things like offline evals before deployment, online monitoring after deployment, drift detection, human review loops. This is the whole real work that is happening. Then the last layer is tooling. Tools need to be idempotent. Side effects must be auditable and permissions must be explicit. Agents without guardrails become liabilities very, very quickly. So things like browser environments, code sandboxes, and API integration all need safe execution along with resource limits and full observability. If you are an AI engineer, you need to understand that safety is not an afterthought. Now, let me give you a concrete checklist. If you want to be strong in Gen AI in 2026, you should be able to design a RAG system and explain exactly how it can fail. You need to learn how to build evaluation harnesses for non deterministic outputs. You need to learn how to route between different models intelligently. You need to learn how to optimize for latency and cost and debug hallucinations using logs and data. Plus, explain why an agent failed, not just that it failed. If you can do that, you will be incredibly valuable. So, let me leave you with one final thought. The biggest mistake I see people make is learning tools instead of the systems. Tool can change every year, but system design is what stays consistent. If you understand the control flow, evaluation, data quality, and cost dynamics, you will stay relevant no matter how the ecosystem shifts. I have linked all the resources mentioned in the description below, whether it's papers, documentations, blog, everything. If this helped you, subscribe and turn on the bell icon. I regularly share AI and ML career tips, free learning resources, and deep technical explainers like this one, and my journey as an immigrant building a career in AI in the US. Drop a comment and tell me where you are in your Gen AI journey. Are you just starting out? Are you already building production systems? And what should I cover next?